But what you're seeing here is, if you look through, I'm going to summarize some of this stuff and zip a little faster so we can get to the punchline. You're seeing continuous rises in earth change activity. Let me do it from this side. Earthquakes, volcanic activities going up, sea levels going up, temperatures going up. Thank you for letting me know that it's updated my database. That's very rude of you. Perito, gosh. Tornadoes are going up. Disasters, natural disasters, economic loss on Earth, all this stuff. The entire Pacific Ocean seafloor is heating up, which is obviously what happens when the sun warms up water on the surface of the ocean. And then those warm water particles are sinking down to the bottom, where they warm up the bottom of the ocean. That's what the scientists are actually saying is going on. So, of course, the next time you want to boil water to boil some eggs, you just get a hairdryer and it'll work just fine, I promise. That's how they've explained this, because they can't tell you that the Earth is heating up from the inside. That's all it is. The planets are heating up from the inside. Why are they heating up from the inside? Galactic energy fields. What are the galactic energy fields going to do? Change your DNA. So let's get to that. I'm going to have to go through some stuff here. All right. We're going to do, okay, we'll get to this because this is good. Bacteria. If you look in the Antarctic ice, in the interior of a volcano, even inside a nuclear reactor, you find little critters. They're everywhere. They even survive in space. They've been recovered after being frozen for 10 million years. It's as if some sort of life force takes that existing body that was there, and you thaw it out, and it says, oh, okay, that's a body. Whoosh, I'm going to make it alive. So there's something going on here. Something more than we usually think of life as being. Some bacteria thrive on infrared light. They photosynthesize in near darkness, and they've been found miles below the surface of the ocean floor. It is ridiculous to think that all these critters grew from living bacteria, from other living bacteria. It becomes much more plausible that those little bacteria that grew inside the nuclear reactor didn't come from other bacteria that grow inside nuclear reactors, that are just sort of floating around saying, let me find a nuclear reactor. Oh, look, there's one. No. Those nuclear reactors are hermetically sealed for a reason, but they're not sealed from the source field. They're not sealed from this energy that goes in there and says, oh, here's a place where I can make life. This is like what happens in a star. Let me go ahead and jump in there and start creating life. So they call this a problem, but it's actually a proof. It's a proof that life is everywhere in the universe. Dr. Chandra Wickrama Singh, say that 3 times fast, and try to spell it while you're pronouncing it. I've had to practice that, I might add. Has proven that the organic material in comets is biological. It has critters in it. There's billions of comets in the solar system alone, and he believes that all life on Earth may have come here from a comet. And this is Dr. Francis Crick, the founder of DNA. And what he shows us is that it's way too complex to have evolved by random chance. It's as if the entire Encyclopedia Britannica fell out of the sky, one word at a time, and it all just happened to arrange, like those monkeys on typewriters. That's the kind of logical idiocy that it is involved to try to say that DNA is a Darwinian mutation from random accidents. And this is the guy that co-founded DNA with Dr. Francis Crick. Okay? Or he is Dr. What am I saying? There's Watson and Crick. 99, here's his biggest discovery. Now, this is the same guy that discovered DNA. Why isn't this as popular as his other discovery? He looks at all the dust in a line of sight between where we are on Earth and the center of the galaxy, and all of it looks just like bacteria in its heat signature and its light signature. Exactly the same. It is bacteria. So this is Howard Hughes' worst nightmare. Space is filled with germs. Don't go to space if you're a germaphobe. Even the mainstream media is saying space that creates human life found in another solar system. Well, we know that space has these source field differences. There's a source field energy in space that you don't see here on Earth. It's called the overview effect or space euphoria. Astronauts go out there, they get this massive energetic high from being in space. It's been reported by many of them. The Chinese have taken seeds and flown them into space. And it's important that you do this in a space capsule that doesn't have PVC plastic windows and doesn't have aluminum in the chassis. If you do that, which is what the NASA probes are like, it doesn't work. It won't work. If you have any PVC plastic at any point over the windows, they're not going to do this. And if you have aluminum in the body of the thing, it's not going to work. The Chinese built one that didn't do it that way. And what happens is they send these seeds out into space. And remember what I said about the Great Pyramid, or the pyramids built by the Russians? They tossed the seeds in, and what happened to the seeds? 400% more productive seeds, 400% bigger plants. Would you like to see the kind of crops that the Chinese were growing when they just flew the seeds into space? Let's go for it. Bang! There's your pumpkin. That's the only thing they've done is grow it hydroponically, and regular hydroponic pumpkins don't do this. This is a space pumpkin. That's the only thing they did is fly it in space. It's the mystery of the great pumpkin from space. Every Halloween, he comes in a UFO. Now this, isn't that amazing? That is actually called a bitter gow. It is not a whale penis. Contrary to your belief. It is actually a melon. Now you know those little hot peppers, right? The little hot, oh, Jesus. Or maybe you really like it. Maybe you're a sadist and, oh, this is fucking right, man. I shouldn't have sworn, I'm sorry. Edit that part of the video. Oh, this is wonderful. Okay. Let's look at some hot peppers. Let's look at some hot peppers. That's a lot bigger than they're supposed to be. That's amazing stuff. So is this the source of all life? Is all life found in an energy wave? Well, check this out. This is Dr. James Strick, Sparks of Life. Major scientific conspiracy of the 19th century. Many of these guys were arguing in favor of Darwin random mutation, and others argued for spontaneous generation, life from non-living things. They didn't know whether it was one or the other. They found numerous experimental examples of spontaneous generation. Pasteur had cases where life originated from non-living things, so it's not as easily dismissed as we would like to believe. Louis Pasteur is why you have pasteurized milk. All these guys created a conspiracy where they buried data where you have sterilized test tubes where nothing could grow in there and critters grew in there anyway. And they threw it all away because they wanted to believe Darwin was right. Because survival of the fittest is an Illuminati philosophy that says if I'm the best killer, then I'm the most evolved on the planet. And that's how they felt about themselves. So they enforced it into the scientific structure of the world. History's been completely rewritten in favor of that model. So now this is a big mouthful. And here's the guy's name, which is also a big mouthful, Professor Pacheco. You can find this on orgone.org. It's very simple. What he did is he takes beach sand, puts it inside a test tube, and then or before that, he takes beach sand and he heats it up to white-hot luminescence. It's literally white-hot. Then he takes that sterilized beach sand and he throws it into a sterilized test tube with sterilized distilled water in a vacuum, so there's no way anything could have gotten in there. 5 days later, this scum has grown on top of the test tube. He scrapes it off and looks at it under a microscope. Would you like to see some of the little things that he saw in there? Let's go for it. This is the first one. It looks like a little brain. Here's something that looks like it might be part of perhaps a sea vegetable, like one of the leaves broke off when he put it under the microscope. Let's look up close on that little guy and tell me if you think this is biological. Where did his DNA come from? All that was sand. There was nothing else in there. He sterilized the sand, sterilized the water, sterilized the air, and yet this little critter grew in there. And that's just one part of a bigger plant. There's other pictures where you see the plant. Here's another one that looks like a red blood cell. Here's one that looks like a white blood cell or a leukocyte. But here comes, drum roll please, the bomb diggity. This little guy probably has 20 to 30,000 genes, which is about the same as you. It's similar to little roundworms and stuff. This guy has a very complex DNA structure because he has a defense system, he has a head, he has a mouth, he probably excretes out here somewhere, which is too much information. But there he is. Where did his DNA come from? His DNA is in space. It's everywhere. The DNA wave says, oh, this is the silica basis of sand. I need to build little sea creatures in this stuff. Just like when it's inside the nuclear reactor, it says, oh, this is radioactive. I need to build radioactive bacteria in here. Life is being created everywhere it goes.